Fools.
Balrogs Blastbeats for another week. This right here is the coolest uncool podcast. Just three nerds sitting around. Sometimes there's a fourth nerd, as there was last week, but usually it's three of us. Sometimes there's a cat as well. I'm one of your hosts, Josh Redbeard.
I'm Margy, and I've got Bowie the cat on my lap.
And I'm Grant, and I guess as always, we're going to take you into our every week first segment, the nerdiest things we've all been up to this week. Myself personally, I've been hard at work actually kicking off our Twitch streaming services and our Discord communities. So if you're into any of that, if you want to watch us play video games, we're trying to set up a few days every week that we're always going to stream. Like we're trying to do like multiplayer Mondays. Like if you'd seen that stream recently, you'll see that Josh and I streamed StarCraft on Monday, and I probably got my ass beat, which you would have been told, because I actually don't know how to play StarCraft. So it's even if you missed it, you can always go back and watch it. I think like 14 days you can go back and watch our previous streams, so you can watch me be embarrassed. And
let us know if there's anything you want to see on there.
Oh, absolutely.
If you want to see me try and game, let us know. If you want to see me twitching, as in bird watching, I can do that too. That's a Twitch stream.
Just you like your computer behind you out the window with binoculars. Like, is that a Rosella I can see from my backyard?
Absolutely not in my backyard.
It's a Dorito bag in the wind.
Oh no, it's a dead pigeon. My cat is a murderer.
We'll be adding some new faces to that as well. We'll be meeting a couple of the other members of Northside Nerds that you may not have met yet. There's some very sick, exciting things happening. And Grant, like I said, I'm real stoked that
awesome.
that we're going with this. It's gonna be fun.
And so the Discord community as well, it's just Northside Nerds at Discord. If you go into our link tree anywhere or show notes anywhere, it's going to be in there. You can join up. We got many things that we're all like as a community we can talk about. We've got, subheadings for like new media where we can talk about new media with, there's one for spoilers, one without spoilers. If you say, you've watched something new or a movie you want to chat about and see if anyone else in the community's watched it. Or,
should I start a Wheel of Time thread on there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everything. If anyone's into it, I'm sure we'll find someone to talk about it for sure. So
it's just me.
Yeah. How about you, Josh? What's the nerdiest thing you've done this week?
Well, my nerdiest thing's sitting just behind me. If you're watching on the YouTube, I'm just gonna. I dropped it. Bring it to the
So
front.
if you're watching on the YouTube, you can see the embarrassment on Josh's face.
Yeah, it's the worst. I work a lot. I'm a big workaholic, and I have quite a few friends who are all self-employed, and we all kind of suffer from the same thing, is we don't do a lot of things just for ourselves. I was talking to a really, really good friend of mine, and I was like kind of pushing her to to try new things, to go to like art classes or something like that. And I joked, I was just like, well, why don't you come around and we'll just watch Bob Ross and we'll do a Bob Ross painting. And when we started, I thought about it, and I have not painted in, I reckon, 25 years. I don't think I've painted since primary school. I don't think I've picked up.
What about Warhammer figurines?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Warhammer figurines, I guess. But like painting on canvas, I haven't done since primary school. I don't even think I did it in high school. But
so we just on canvas in primary school? Bougie.
Yeah, you stopped painting when I started taking my first couple of breaths on this planet.
Yeah, pretty much. I have not painted on canvas or on paper on anything in the entire time that Grant has been alive. But yeah, so we literally just got a whole bunch of paints, got a whole bunch of brushes and shit like that, and then just randomly just went on YouTube. All of Bob Ross's stuff is on YouTube. Just selected one and went, fuck yeah, I'm going to do that one. And then this is the outcome of the Bob Ross painting, and I'm pretty chuffed, to be completely honest.
It looks sick. It looks really
I
good.
think it's really, really, really good. You've done a fantastic job with colors.
Thank you.
Which
Thank
is
you.
a very
I
easy thing to do.
I did see on your Instagram story the Bob Ross one. It does look better, but yours looks pretty good.
Bob Ross's looks incredible.
Hey, art is subjective, Grant. It's not.
And
Objective.
Exactly, and that was my opinion. But no, I'm just fucking with you.
Whichever one it is. What I'm trying to say is, Josh,
That's
as someone who is an art
fantastic joke.
professional, I think it's fantastic, and I would
thank you.
conserve it without being
Well,
like, "What is this piece of shit?"
I appreciate that. I think my main issue with it is I like because he tells you, you kind of put the base layers in the background on, and then you just like lightly dry brush over the top to kind of blend it all together. And I blended the sun too much, and it looks like it's like a burning fireball that's heading towards the earth, and we're all gonna die.
So it's a dinosaur POV.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which is
thought that-
cool as fuck.
I thought it was just like your D&D influence coming out. Like you're just like, I could paint Bob Ross or I could cast Fireball.
No.
When in doubt, cast Fireball it out.
Quite literally fucked it up. I did have like some happy accidents as well, as Bob likes to say. Both me and my friend at separate points near the end of it. Like it was basically all complete. When I was doing like the last little bit, like this tree in the foreground, I like finished the tree and then dropped my paintbrush onto the fucking canvas. And so there was like 3 like dark spots. And so I just turned them into another branch of the tree. And then it was, as Bob says, a happy yeah, there's no mistakes. There's just happy accidents.
We'll buy you an easel so you don't drop your paintbrush on it. That's the next step.
Or do we get?
We need a Patreon to fund Josh getting an easel.
Yeah. Or do we get like one of those like Wii remote like wrist things?
But
wristband.
Yeah, it was like it was fucking. I mean, it was a great bonding experience just to spend time with my mate, like just creating some art as well. But it was a really like fun just act in mindfulness as well, and kind of like again, it's a hard thing for artists and people that are perfectionists to be crap at something, and it's like it's good for me. It's good for
it's good. It is good.
I think it's really good. Like
it's good for a 5-year-old, I guess.
No.
But
no, that's really, really good. Like the reflection on the water and stuff.
It looks
like,
fantastic, and it's not the 480p.
Graham was just being a dick.
Yeah, it's not the 480p that I'm seeing in this covering it as well. Like it looks good.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of nice just letting it go and not being a perfectionist about it. Just being like, I've never done anything like this before. Just kind of see what happens. But yeah, it's a really fun way to learn because Bob Ross is just so fucking wholesome too. Like he's just like it's just really nice to listen to. Like like my friend made the joke, if you know how like some people go to sleep and they put on like sounds of rain or the ocean or something like that, you could just put on Bob Ross speaking and it's just so calming and just so lovely to think about. So right, so that's the nerdiest thing I've done this week, is I painted a scene of some snowy mountains that kind of look like mountains. But yeah, Margy, what's the nerdiest thing what's the nerdiest thing you've done this week?
Well, I was going to say it was spending my Saturday night in just reading instead of going out and socializing. But like, what's new? I always read Wheel of Time, and I like Wheel of Time more than I like People. We all know this. Actually, it has been starting my thesis research, which I have been putting off. So part of my master's, I have to do a thesis component, and I am doing one researching analysis techniques for red chalk drawings, which is actually really interesting because when you say chalk, you think of like, like the shit you used to write on like a whiteboard. Whiteboard, blackboard. Don't write on a whiteboard with white chalk, which is calcium carbonate. Like that's what chalk is famously. But red chalk is not that. So it's actually a fun analytical challenge. And we're looking at ways to analyze it when it's drawn on paper, which is really hard because, first of all, if it's a famous artwork, if I get a red chalk drawing by Da Vinci, can't just be taking a sample of that. That's a big no-no. And also, you can't just, like there's limits to what you can do. So I'm actually going to try a new kind of spectroscopy out, and I'm very excited. It's called terahertz spectroscopy. If there's any science nerds out there, slide into my DMs to talk about it. I'm very interested. Very excited. I might get to run some exciting tests, might get to go to Wollongong University to do some testing. But I've been very deep in the world of research, and I found some hilarious quotes from old my cat just jumped off my lap, from some old artist manuals about like just hilarious stuff from old artist manuals in my research, because like they're all like artist technical handbooks, and now that you're an artist, Josh, you'll become up to date with these. But it's like
I'm a very technical artist.
Yeah, the artist technical handbooks that I've been reading from the 1600s have been quite entertaining with you know, erasing stuff with breadcrumbs and stuff. And so ducks, that's what it is. The artists in the 1600s were ducks, and so on and so forth. So yeah, cool, starting a new field of research and going to analyze something which hasn't been analyzed this way before. So fingers crossed I don't fuck it up and it actually works. But I have to finish a research proposal, which is a month overdue. ADHD. Woo. Oh dear. So while I'm testing the boundaries of terahertz spectroscopy, the nerd world is evolving as always, and there's a few little nerdy news tidbits that we thought we should drop for you guys this week in our medium beat.
Oh, that's a good segue. I like that segue.
That was a very, very good segue.
I'd write that segue.
Yeah.
Ew.
But yes, there is, because just the other day, D23 happened, which is like Disney's yearly like announcement platform, like their own version of Comic-Con or anything like that, where they share a lot of stuff. It happens just kind of after Comic-Con. So anytime Comic-Con's on and you don't get a lot of Marvel or Disney announcements, people just kind of assume that we're going to get them at D23. And this year we got some cool stuff.
Is Marvel owned by Disney?
Yeah,
they are now. Everything's owned by Disney.
Everything's owned by Disney now.
I knew Star Wars is.
It's getting wild, honestly. Fox is owned by Disney now.
Yeah,
it's slowly taking over the
National
planet.
Geographic and the History Channel as well, I'm pretty sure.
I'm owned by Disney.
Yeah, they're about to control the narrative, my friends.
Yeah, they are 100% about to control the narrative. But so, I mean, obviously, in the Star Wars world first, we got new trailers for the Andor television show, which is coming out next week, I do believe, as well as Mandalorian season 3 that's coming out early next year. It's very, very exciting. I'm really excited for Andor. I really loved his character in Rogue One. It was probably the best part of Rogue One.
I personally believe that, like, apart from the original trilogy, Rogue One is the best movie since the original trilogy.
A lot of people feel that way.
It's the only time you feel like people are actually at war. There's this whole war going on. It's like, oh, that's the only time there's not these weird space wizards, and it's like actual people fighting a war with like loved ones dying, and shit matters. Yeah. And K2SO.
K2SO is sick. K2SO
my friend here, K2SO.
Friends! I think we should just acknowledge the true casualties of war in the Star Wars universe, which are the robots.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
So yeah, the droids.
I think that's the exciting thing. And maybe it's just that, like, the Skywalker saga was just too stretched out that it just didn't become that interesting anymore. But
and they strayed from the book ending. Sorry, if anyone's watching, I'm trying to hang up my ring light. That's why I'm going.
But yeah, like the Mandalorian has been fucking amazing. It's been one of my favorite television shows to watch lately.
Oh, the soundtrack in that?
Well. Phenomenal. And I think this is exciting if this is the way that Star Wars is going to go, with more of these people, as Grant just said, more of these people stories. Like,
does anyone think Grogu's going to be like toeing the dark side, or is that just me?
I hope so.
We'll see. I mean,
guess we'll find out.
Yoda.
I hope they get him a jetpack. I think it'd be more exciting to see him as like a little Boba Fett. You're just like Lego Star Wars style. Just
except he shoots lasers from his fingers.
Yeah, finger guns.
If you haven't seen
lightning.
If you haven't seen the trailers as well yet, there is some amazing Mandalorian jetpack action sequences.
Oh, is there actually? I haven't seen the trailer yet, so I'm happy about that.
there is some boss looking jetpack action in there, which I'm very excited for. And then obviously like a whole bunch of Marvel announcements as well. They dropped a Secret Invasion trailer. And Secret Invasion is pretty much about the Skrulls invading Earth and like pretending to be, anyone from Nick Fury to the president. It brings back in War Machine, and so this is really going to tie into like Iron Wars that's coming soon, and Ironheart, I'm sure as well.
Iron Wars and Ironheart. What are these?
Iron Wars is like War Machine. It's kind of his story separate from Iron Man and Tony Stark and all of that. Ironheart is I forget the character's name, but I believe she comes out of Wakanda. And she's very much like like pseudo Iron Man, but not like in a complete suit sometimes.
She the punching lady, like the things with like on the fists. Is that Ironheart?
She has stuff on her fist, like similar to Iron Man though. It's like she has the propulsors and stuff on her hands. But yeah, so they're like bleeding into a whole bunch of new kind of territory now. Like they just announced the lineup for the Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts are sort of like, it's not so much like the Suicide Squad, but it's like the anti-heroes. So not like the Captain Americas and stuff like that. It's like US Agent, it's Red Guardian, it's Taskmaster, it's Ghost. So it's all the people that like maybe were bad guys in one of them, but have now kind of turned good, but they're not exactly
I need to know what Taskmaster does.
Taskmaster can analyze anyone's fighting patterns and then use them against them, as well as like, so she can mimic anyone's fighting style, and she can analyze the best way to fight back against people. So she'll watch Captain America fight and then knows exactly how he fights, and so like is like uses like all the best defenses and all the best stuff against.
She's the Uno reverse card.
Yeah,
that's
pretty much the
sick.
Uno reverse card. Yeah,
I just like her name.
Yeah, so Taskmaster is sick. But yeah, so they're going in some cool new directions. But yeah, apart from that, I think the other really cute thing that they announced was there's a new, I'm going to say this wrong and you two are going to laugh at me, but Indiana Jones film.
Indiana!
Indiana. Indiana. There's a new Indiana Jones film that's been announced. They didn't release the footage, but there was a really, really cute. Someone had taken like a video of Harrison Ford talking about it on stage, and he was actually like welling up about it, and he was like kind of sad that it was like this is the last time he's playing Indy. And yeah, apparently
he died in
the
filming process or something.
No,
oh my god, Indiana Jones is going to die! I'm calling it now.
He might. They've said that this is the last film they're doing, with him as Indy. So it's he says that it's really, really good. He's probably paid to say that, but yeah, he said that the film's really good. So we'll be curious to see.
Well, I guess if the Crystal Skull's the baseline, then it's not going to be hard to beat. I actually, it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie, but it's got nothing on the original three.
No,
you know what? I love dumb movies. Like, most of the movies that I've seen are just dumb movies, so I have nothing against just fun little sojourn into the heist world of archaeology, which it's well known for. Anyone else see the tweet about the Queen dying and how her body's, and someone was like, now that the Queen is dead, her body will be cut up into little pieces and delivered to nations colonized by her around the world against her family's wishes. That's the plot of the new Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, then they'll probably be going back to steal them to put them in the British Museum. Put them right next to the Bernini bronzes.
British Museum only has like a couple, but
sorry, not Bernini, Benin bronzes.
The Benin bronzes, which I think are being repatriated.
From
not ones? Repatriated. Repatriated's only when it's human remains. Return to the Benin bronzes.
They literally have a law against it. Like, they're not allowed to give them back. It's fucked. It's crazy. I don't understand it. And then I'm pretty sure also Germany has like 19% of the world's collection of Benin bronzes as well. For anyone who doesn't know what the Benin bronzes are, there's like a city in West Africa that
Benin's a nation. Benin.
Yeah, but I mean the city where they came from. Like, so they used to have all these elaborate, like, giant, like, bronze works on the walls. And when, unfortunately, they were colonized, they were pilfered and distributed across the world for some reason, because that's what
much like the people of West Africa.
Yes.
Anyway, so okay, back to the news topic. So I feel like I've worked in some relevant news there with the Queen dying. Any other big announcements from
I
there?
think that was most of the announcements from D23.
Was
that
the
had
Little
worked on
Mermaid
things.
announced?
Yes. So that was the other thing that was announced. Yeah, there was the reboot of the live action Little Mermaids being announced, and it
Did they
has
stop with the live
driven.
action?
I wish it was a centaur.
So
I
do
wish she was a fish on the top
little,
half.
yeah, the little centaur. But Ariel this time is being played by an African American actress, which is sending the white supremacy world into.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I reckon there'd be a lot of
into a
people for some reason upset about
tailspin.
a fake person being a different color.
A fishtail spin.
Yeah. A fish being a different color is apparently just sacrilege. And so yeah, the internet's lost its mind today over that.
I mean, it depends. It depends if the fish person dwells in crystal clear, shallower waters, like if she's a Caribbean mermaid, or if she dwells in like deep Atlantic waters, then she'd be a white mermaid. It's all about where she's from. It's just genetics, yo.
Well, I feel like if one was going to come to the surface, it would be the Caribbean one. If I'm like in the bottom of the Marianas Trench, I ain't coming to this. I don't care how hot fucking.
Also, if you're living at the bottom of the ocean, you're going to be a gelatinous blob when you come to the surface.
You're actually going to be see-through.
Oh my god, the blobfish, but as the Little Mermaid. I need someone to draw the Little Mermaid as the blobfish.
See, like my biggest gripe is the fact that in the original thing, she was half tuna. Now she's half cod, and I just can't have that. That's not the same half fish that I remember. And
that's not anatomically correct.
Yeah.
And you don't even see her egg laying.
That's a swordfish fin. No, I can't watch this.
No.
Her dorsal is just completely wrong.
She had 4 gills. Now she's got 3.
She doesn't have any gills. That's the most concerning part.
That is actually concerning.
Magic. I hope that they do like a live action like mermaid that's kind of realistic, like webbed fingers or got like gills or something. Because I would.
They won't. There's no way that's gonna happen.
Yeah, no one's gonna masturbate to that.
No,
maybe I don't know.
The deep, probably.
The deep, yeah, but he'll do that to anything. We know he accepts best,
especially if it's got tentacles.
Jesus, let's move on to the long bait. That's dark.
We really nailed that segment. Good job, team.
Far out. Yes. So, as you may have noticed, if you've looked at the title for this episode, we're looking at originality, but originality specifically within the video game space. Because
I have a question.
Go on.
As a non-gamer, this is how we came to this topic. I was just like, haven't all video games been made already? Like that's my question that I've posited to the boys.
It's a fair question because gaming as an industry currently brings in more money than the music and the film industry combined. Like the gaming industry, yeah, I can see the look in your eye, Margy. It is a disgusting money-making beast. And so you would assume from that, if capitalists are to be believed, that this would mean an abundance of fresh ideas and constant evolution. But whether it's actually the case or not is debatable.
Saying that, though, how many bands that make a lot of money are different from each other?
True.
It's the same thing, is it not?
I mean, but I guess that's the kind of opening one is like every year we get a new NBA 2K23, we get a new FIFA 23. It's like I worked at JB Hi-Fi's for many years.
FIFA on the moon.
Yeah, I worked at JB for many years, and I was always blown away every single year when the new FIFA game would come out, and we would get every single store would get hundreds of them, and I'd be like, "Well, the kids bought it last year."
Is a new FIFA game like it just means that it's up to date with current world players?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like slightly better graphics. Maybe they'll have like some sort of different feature about it, but ostensibly it's the same thing.
I mean, I kind of get that, like buying a new one each year. This is the non-gamer weighing in on this segment. Because I don't know I know people who like football, like soccer, I don't know, whatever the fuck you call it. And they really like it. Like they really fucking like it. Like, if there was an AFL game, you know that Melburnians would be popping off over it. Like, everyone would be playing that. Like,
There is, but they all suck.
Yeah, there is.
My brother plays the shit out of the AFL game. It's hilarious.
Oh, there actually is an AFL game.
Yeah,
Well, that's my money-making idea.
It's just not very good.
It's because
but also, like, the fact that only people in Victoria like AFL. It's not even an Australia-wide sport. But somehow, weirdly enough, it makes more money than all the other sports in Australia. It's only liked in one state. It doesn't make sense. They just signed a $4.5 billion TV deal. Which is like just like free to air TV deal for ads, and it's like twice as much as the NRL.
Real Housewives of AFL.
Yeah,
pretty much
crazy.
But yeah, they regurgitate that kind of every single year without too much change. Like, because even by the time they finish making the game and then the production, like the teams would change again. Like there'd be new players. There'd be like, because there's that fucking 6-month turnaround between completion and then distribution.
But even like something like FIFA, like soccer as well, like the retirement age for soccer compared to most sports is actually quite high. Like you can play soccer to your 40s.
Really?
So even if you're getting a new FIFA game, you're still playing the same people. Like since FIFA started coming out in fucking year 2000, like you're still playing as Cristiano Ronaldo.
If you're playing, then you're not Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, yeah, sure, he might be really good at kicking with his left foot. I don't know what differentiates soccer players, but like if you're the one who's controlling the player, then you're not really playing as him, and it doesn't really matter who you are. It's just like a skin, right?
No, but that player in the game will have better stats than the other players. So like they like the luck of like the ball going to where you've told it to go. I don't know. I don't play sports games. Like I don't play real sport. I'm not going to play a game of sport.
Okay, so there's no like magical football boots that you can find.
Well, I think you can do like a career mode to create your own character, and then like you'd make your own stats from that. I really don't know.
Yeah, I could understand like them revamping it every 5 years to 8 years because the graphics have obviously moved forward. Like if you go back to like FIFA 98 versus FIFA 23, it's obviously going to be dramatically different.
Is FIFA 98 Minecraft?
Pretty much.
Actually, I reckon Minecraft probably looks better than what that would look like.
But yeah, I mean, like there've always been games that sort of break the mold. Like I know, like was it whatever it was, like 2 or 3 episodes ago, I was talking about the Netflix series High Score, which like I watched it for the episode that we were watching, but then I just kept on watching it again because it's sick. And like the last like episode and a half were on like the rise of first person shooters, and like there is like the first person perspective in video games first came around in like I think it was 73, I want to say.
Isn't that when Atari was out?
Yeah. 2600.
Yeah, so around then they had like like a first person perspective of like I can't remember, it was like a tank game, and then 87 this game called Midi Maze came out, which was basically the first person Pac-Man kind of thing. It was kind of really really odd, and so like that was kind of the start of this idea of the first person shooters. id Software is responsible for like Doom, Wolfenstein 3D before
Quake.
Quake, all that
Unreal
sort of
Tournament,
stuff.
Unreal Engine, huge company.
Yeah. So in 91, they dropped this game called Catacomb 3D, which was the first person shooter to be able to see something in front of the person.
Yeah.
So you could see that it was like a spellcaster's hand. So that was the first time you could see this.
Well, it was the first one off the rails, wasn't it? Because like I know like a lot of old like first person games, you're on the rails still. So like you can like the foreground kind of moves and you're just like kind of taking, kind of like if you're playing like Time Crisis.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that was the first one where you were actually off the rails and you could choose which way you moved. And you had like some autonomy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a non-gamer, and for the non-gamers out there, I looked up the broad categories of different types of video games so that you could quickly explain to me what they are. Just so the non-gamers are not completely as lost as I am.
Fair.
Okay, sandbox.
So
Does
sandbox,
that mean kitty litter?
That's like Minecraft. So it means the game has no pure objective, but you can just kind of do what you want in that world.
like The Sims.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's a sandbox game. So there's no there is some maybe some tiny missions that you can do, but generally it's a game where you could just do whatever you want within the mechanics of the game, and there's no real objective to the game.
Okay. Real-time strategy.
So that's like your red alerts and things like that. So it's like when you're like StarCraft red alerts. So when you're looking down, like top down, you build your kind of base, you build up your army. So like you're creating a strategy in real time to destroy
Age of
the other
Empires.
base.
Yes, Age of Empires. So like because
I played a lot of Age of Empires as a kid. I'm not gonna lie.
Because you've got like turn-based strategy and you got real-time strategy. So like turn-based is like Civilization, where you'll do everything within a turn, and then the other person has their turn. But while they're doing that, you have time to just like think and how you're gonna react. Whereas if you're playing a real-time strategy game, it's just like
it's all happening.
You're like your reaction is to what's directly happening right now. You can't pause it. There's no time to think about what you want to do. It's just like your natural reaction to how to do this. So at base there's similar games, like say like a turn-based strategy and a real-time strategy, except for just the way you execute that strategy changes because you don't have time to think. It's just whoever thinks the fastest generally wins if they also know what they're doing when they're thinking.
Okay. Next is shooters, FPS and TPS. I know FPS is first-person shooter, which is like TPS Call of Duty.
Yes. So TPS is a third-person shooter. So that's when the camera is from behind your character. So generally, you'll just
I find that easier.
Yes. Well, usually it is, because like a lot of like third-person games, they'll have like cover and stuff built into the game. But you can also, if you're behind cover, you can still see what's on the other side of a wall when you're trying to shoot people and stuff like that. Whereas if you're playing a first-person shooter, if you're covering at a wall, you actually don't know what's beyond that wall because you can't, like your eyesight can't see beyond that.
Okay. Multiplayer online battle arena.
So that's like Fortnite. So it's
the
like
dances.
Yes. Yeah.
The dance.
Absolutely.
Dance Revolution also falls into this category.
Yeah.
So like a battle arena or a battle royale is essentially like you drop a large number of real life like people are all playing these, like, say 50 to 100 characters are all dropped onto this, like, say an island, and whoever's the last person alive on that island wins. So that's generally what like a multiplayer battle arena game is. Or like on a smaller scale, like a Doom multiplayer. It's like just it's kind of like a broader term for a first person or a third person shooter. It's kind of like the first person shooter in a specific situation.
Yeah,
okay.
And Doom was the very first one that was championed. Like there was a couple of like before like multiplayer like networked connections one, but Doom was the first one that they really championed this idea as part of the game, and they were the ones that coined the term deathmatch when it came to first person shooters in that sort of
metal
style.
as fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
Deathmatch. The next one this is the only video game I've played really. Role playing. So I've done an MMORPG before, me and my Guild Wars 3 days. And then there's ARPG and others. So I don't know what ARPG is.
So action RPG and a regular RPG are different. So action RPGs like live time, like if you're playing The Witcher, Skyrim, that's an action RPG. It's more around like fighting and gaining items, whereas a regular RPG can be turn-based, like Final Fantasy VII or something like that, or it can still be live, but it's more about the world and you being your character, whereas an action RPG is more about gameplay.
Is World of Warcraft more action RPG?
That's an MMO.
MMO.
Oh, that's
That'd be definitely more ARPG than RPG.
All right, next is simulation and sports, which I think we've covered with our FIFA chat.
Yeah, or like flight simulators, the other big one in that'd be covered under that. So like anything where you
driver simulator.
No, I was gonna say my favorite ones are Euro Truck Driver Simulator 2, or recently I've been seeing Power Washer Simulator, where you just go around with a gurney and you gurney cars.
Yes, absolutely.
That's something. Puzzlers and party games. That's like Mario Kart. That's like a party game.
Sort of, yeah.
I'd say more like Mario Party.
Yeah, Mario Party, or like the classic one from when I was a kid. There was a great game called You Don't Know Jack, which was like it's like a topical quiz game that was like real like pop culture kind of thing, and like you could have like 4 different players, and like so it was like a quiz game. But the best thing about You Don't Know Jack was that if there was like a real hard question you didn't know the answer, you could buzz in, and then everyone was given a screw, so you could screw one of your like opponents and like make them answer it. So if they got it wrong, they lose points, but if they got it right, then you got screwed. It was one of the funniest fucking like just little twists in like a party game. But you just reminded me, so yeah, so that'd be like You Don't Know Jack.
Did any of you play Buzz?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, so do you know what Buzz is?
No idea.
So on
I'm
the
assuming there's
PS,
a buzzer.
yeah, on the PS2, they had like this weird like a gaming peripheral controllers where you plugged it in, and they're like a controller with like 4 colored buttons and a buzzer on top, and it was basically just like playing like do you want to be a millionaire against 3 other people, and whoever buzzed in first, and it's like a Trivial Pursuit. It's good fun, but I haven't seen it for a long time. I wouldn't mind seeing that having a resurgence. I don't think you need the gaming peripheral like the control, but it was fun.
And that also includes puzzlers, and that's just like your puzzle solving games.
Yeah.
Then
like
there's
brain training and stuff like that.
Yeah, action adventure, which I
So-
guess is like, I don't know what
like
that
Tomb
is.
Raider, like platformers. So action
platformers.
adventure is a platformer where you also fight, like a 3D platformer maybe.
Okay.
Action
Survival and
adventure.
horror.
Like Dead Space.
Stalker, DayZ. Yeah, I think that's moving more into like genres than types of games. I think.
Yeah,
like,
and then platform is the last one listed, which is like your 2D.
Yeah, so that's like Metroid and stuff,
Yeah.
like Castlevania. But yeah, I'd say horror survival specifically is a horror game where you have to also manage your food, water, and sleep and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, and like you have to get shelter and manage ammo and stuff.
Yeah, so it's like horror plus.
So, like, how many different ways can you make a first-person shooter game?
Well,
a lot.
Yeah, like following on from what I was saying earlier, like id Software released Wolfenstein 3D in '92, which really shows my age, because that's like considered like the godfather, even though it wasn't the first. It's considered like the godfather of first-person shooters. But shit hasn't really changed that much since then. Like if you think about like you have changeable weapons that you collect along the way. Bad guys drop ammunition. You pick up health packs. You go through doors. You've got to find keys to unlock other doors. Like there's secret passageways and whatnot. Like in terms of like the basics of that, not heaps has changed. Like Doom came along afterwards. It upped the violence. It kind of pushed the more multiplayer side of things.
It upped the soundtrack.
It upped the soundtrack.
Yeah.
It did. And then a game called Hexen. Hexen was built on Doom's like graphic engine, but the one thing that Hexen changed was the ability to aim up and down, because Doom, you just shot forward, and then even if the bad guy was up, it just sort of hit it. Whereas Hexen was the first time you had to like aim up and down. And then it was actually a Star Wars game, Dark Forces in '95 was the first game that let you like crouch. I'm pretty sure it was the first time that they'd put that into a game.
Could you do a barrel roll like a
not that early, but I mean, yeah, to give you an example of how many times you can make the same shoot 'em up game, you look at the Call of Duty series. So the first Call of Duties came out in 2003. So next year will be 20 years of Call of Duty. So in the main series of Call of Duty, there is 19 games that have been released in the last 19 years.
games of people insulting people's mums online.
Yeah, there is.
My favorite Call of Duty insult is to tell someone that their mother wears board shorts. I did have one guy once tell me that my dad was an apprentice scaffolder, and I thought that was hilarious.
But on top of those 19 games, there's 10 more that are still Call of Duty games, but sort of like side games, or like not attached to like the kind of main storyline. And then there's 5 mobile specific games. So the Call of Duty franchise has released 34 games, ostensibly the same thing in the last 19 years. But that'll obviously like, and I'm saying this as a fan of Call of Duty, like I have clocked everything up to fucking the Cold War one. I think I've clocked them all on every single difficulty, and I've played them all, but they are ostensibly the same game with a different story.
They changed like
I didn't even know there was a story to it. I thought you just had to shoot the bad guys.
I'd
That's what I
say
did when I played.
between 1 to Modern Warfare 2, it probably changed a fair bit. But since Modern Warfare 2, they're like, we've got the secret sauce. We just keep on keeping it.
Yeah, Modern Warfare 2 was fucking phenomenal. But like I think the thing that kept me playing it was like the characters were written really well. I think you could write a good story, which I think becomes the original part of a good game in that specific sort of world. Is like, yeah, the stories and the character tie-ins between them. Like there's a character that dies in well, you think he died in the first Modern Warfare, but then you find him in the second Modern
Spoilers.
Warfare. It's
Jeez.
right, but I haven't told you who. So there's quite
The
a few
game's
people
only
that died in the
15
first one.
years
It's-
old.
Yeah, if you haven't played it by now, that's your own fault. But like the character that you play in the first Modern Warfare is like your sidekick in the second Modern Warfare. So there's some cool kind of tie-ins, and like, yeah, that side of it is a lot of fun, but there is only so many ways you can kind of build the same level. So the levels do tend to be a bit same after a while. No, there isn't much in that really changes.
Is there appeal when a new console gets released, like a new gaming system? Is that like an incentive to get the new gaming system and then get games that you like on the new gaming system? Like,
I would say not anymore, but Xbox and PS5 are a bit different. So Xbox is nearly completely backwards compatible or forwards compatible. So if I still have the previous generation's Xbox, I can still play the new games on it. Whereas I'm not sure PS5 is exactly the same. Or even if I get the new Xbox, I can still play all my old games. So I don't have to. They're just load times become faster. So it's not necessary to get the upgrade, but but that's a more recent thing, like older gaming, because you don't have the same. There's the graphical jumps and stuff aren't like what they used to be. So it's like when you're trying to you can get something 90% right, but the last 10% doesn't change that much, and it's really hard to change that last 10%. That's kind of where we are at with games now. It's like we've got the 90% right of graphics, but the last 10% of changes is so negligible that it doesn't really increase much if you get the next system. It's really things load faster. That's about it.
okay.
Yeah, and I think like it's I guess the other part of it's like the risk, because obviously like they have the formula, as Grant was kind of saying. It's like they've reproduced Call of Duty. The last 10 games have been all identical because they know that people are going to buy them the same way as like the FIFA. People are just going to buy them because
you got to get the new game
like
so you can learn the new insults.
Exactly. But it's like I was thinking about like games that have had dramatic shifts, and I've figured examples of one that's was a really good shift, one that was a really bad shift, and one that was just kind of like an air shift. So you start with the bad one. Command and Conquer was like one of the
gold standard.
Yeah, gold standard for like real-time strategy games. Then they did Red Alert and Red Alert 2 and all that sort of stuff. And like they are like, I still play Red Alert and Red Alert 2 because they're fucking phenomenal games. But then they tried to do something different. They released a game that not a lot of people know about called CNC Renegade, or Command and Conquer Renegade, which was Command and Conquer as a first-person shooter. So you play as like one character going into like the Command and Conquer buildings, which was kind of fun because obviously when you're watching them from above, when you're a kid and they're like sprites like this big and you're blowing up these buildings, whatever. But actually being a person going into them, I was like, oh yeah, this is fun. But the game was garbage. Like it was so fucking bad. It was so boring. There was no like. It was so spread out. There was nothing to it. It was just like, I mean, power to Westwood Studios for trying something different, but it didn't work out at all.
It does raise like an interesting conundrum though, because it's like when you move, like we talk about games, like, oh, you've made the same game so many times, like why are you still making it? But then if we watch, like if someone remade a movie and it wasn't like the original, you'd be like, well, why don't you just make a different movie? Why'd you call it that? So it's kind of a weird back and forth. It's like, if you change the game too much, like, oh, that's not Command and Conquer. That's not what I wanted. So it's a weird trade-off of like, we just don't know what we want.
And then what about like when a band releases an album and it's too similar to the one before, then they get ripped for it. But if it's
too different,
if it's too vastly different, then they get ripped for it. Like, so music, film, gaming all have different rules apparently.
Yeah, definitely. definitely.
And like,
'Cause then,
I know
like,
if you're reading a book series and like one of the books is dramatically differently written, like her busting bosom, and you're like, whoa, I'm here for like the battle scenes. I don't want to read about quivering lips and like
engorged members.
engorged members. Yeah,
I
but then like
accidentally walked into the erotica section in the bookstore the other day because I wasn't wearing my glasses, and I was like, "Where's the fantasy novels?"
accidentally.
Well, it is all
quote unquote.
fantasy, but just not your fantasy.
But yeah,
Yeah.
an example of a game. I mean, it wasn't such like a dramatic change, but I mean, maybe me as a big fan was when they went from Diablo 2 to Diablo 3. So with Diablo 2, it was like the maps were quite randomly generated. Like they pop up in different spots. Like they'd never be the same twice. Like you could play the game multiple times. It always felt kind of different.
Diablo's
And
like
then-
an RPG.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I know it's action up. Oh no, it's like a top down.
It's action.
Yeah, like it's a
Yeah.
top down RPG. But yeah, when they kind of moved to Diablo 3, it was the maps were identical, so it was very, very much like linear. You had to follow the same path. So it didn't have that replayability as much. It wasn't such a dramatic change, but to me it just didn't have the same vibe to it. And so it was a risk that they kind of took, and maybe that was just more of a lazy risk than a creative risk. But it just it lost a bit of its soul.
Was Diablo 2 multiplayer as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Diablo 2 was multiplayer, and that was fucking heaps and heaps.
Yeah,
of
I was
fun
wondering
playing
if that's
multiplayer.
maybe why they did it with 3, but I've never played the Diablo series. I've only
Maybe like the multiplayer thing is a way that games can diversify. Like
Great.
like opening a game up to being.
Yeah, Grant, you and
Yeah.
me are gonna multiplayer Twitch some Diablo. That's gonna be a fucking.
you're gonna have to teach me. You're gonna teach
Yeah.
me all
I'm
the
gonna teach you
games
a whole
because
bunch
I've
of
only
the
recently
classics.
got a PC, so there's like so much legacy stuff that I'm still catching up with that I've never been able to play. I've always been looking at it from afar, just playing Halo because I couldn't play anything fun. Well, actually, no, I love Halo, but yeah.
But a game that made a real like creative, dramatic, huge change from a game that was phenomenal to the new version being phenomenal as well as the Fallout series.
Yes.
If you go back to like Fallout 1, 2, and Fallout Tactics, which everyone should
And
just
Fallout
pretend doesn't
Boy.
exist. Fallout Boy, amazing band.
It is an arms race.
Yeah. But Fallout 2 was it was a top-down, turn-based, more a turn-based like future role-playing game, basically. It was very, very much like it was a lot slower, but it was a lot of fun, when you were outside of those action pieces, and there was a lot of creativity about it.
It's
and then
actually a good example of a game going from an RPG to an action RPG is Fallout.
Yeah. And then and technically, it's a first person shooter or a third person shooter as well, because you can change the camera however you want it. But that change from Fallout 2 to Fallout 3 was dramatic, and a lot of people were nervous, like when first heard it was coming out. But they fucking nailed it. Like they did such a good job of it when people are willing to take those sort of creative risks. Like Bethesda, I think sometimes like to take creative risks and sometimes release the same game year after year after year for how long have they been re-releasing Skyrim for? 15 years.
But at least it is actually the same game. They're not lying to you. They're not calling it something else. It is actually the same
100%
game.
just
Okay,
And you know
speak-
what? I just put in like fucking 200 hours on it in the last couple of weeks. It's still
What
good.
game?
It's still good.
Skyrim. It's still
yeah.
fucking
Skyrim.
good.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to poop on
that
Skyrim. But
is
it's a great
that is
game.
one of our notes here. I know this isn't Skyrim, but to me, same ballpark. Is an original idea so important if you can just create Dark Souls again and call it Elden Ring?
That was one of my
Which made
notes.
me
I
laugh
laughed
a
at that one.
lot.
Yeah. Or Sekiro or Nier. It's all the same game.
Yeah, because I've seen people playing both of those games, and I like watching people play games like for a short period of time because it's a bit more fantasy lore I can learn. But I'm like, that's like the same game from what I can tell. I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Grant has to come into that one because I wrote that note because I think the same thing. I just think they're the same game.
Well, I'd say what the difference is, but even going back to the first person shooters and talking about Elden Ring, as opposed to what sets it apart from other RPGs is the fantasy stuff is basically the same, but what grows is the mechanics of playing and what you are capable of doing. So I think that's where it changes. You can do different, especially if we're talking about shooters. So we talk about Call of Duty, which is a first person shooter, but now there's a whole new tier above that, which is tactical shooters where you can lean your body in the game around corners. You can, crouch you can choose which heights you're crouching to and
I
stuff like
don't
that.
think we need to make shooting games any more realistic.
Yeah,
I'm
so like,
just saying that we have a
what
problem. in
that's what I
society.
play. Like I play tactical shooters because I think it's
All
more
right.
fun. But
If there's a school shooting, you know where
yeah.
to look.
Whereas like it's more like it's like our inventory management and everything all comes into it. Whereas it's not like
Okay.
as arcade, but also so I think that's where Elden Ring and Dark Souls branches off from like a Skyrim. But at the end of the day, like it's Sekiro, Elden Ring, like realistically, it's similar to Call of Duty, where it's kind of the same thing, where it's just, or even FIFA, you're probably just updating the mechanics at that stage.
It's funny as well, Marky, that you say we should make shooters more realistic because just before, like earlier today, I saw they're working on the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare, whatever at the moment, and I saw a video like with the AI specialists that are involved in it, and they were talking about how they're training the computer AI to recognize how a player moves and kind of react accordingly. Because obviously, like in the past, they're just kind of like set on a grid that they just kind of walk around. So you can always guess where the bad guy's going to come out. So they're training this AI to kind of see if like, he comes around this corner, the player's supposed to be the player's move, the AI will know and be able to kind of like change accordingly. So I was like, they're basically training their AI to hunt human beings, which is
fantastic.
We just don't need more of that.
This is what I'm talking about every time. All we do is do bad things to AI and expect them to like
we
us.
feed them all the information off Reddit and turn them into psychopaths.
We should just be showing them Adventure Time. That's it. Just give them that.
Yeah,
okay, so a game like Binding of Isaac, my bandmates are obsessed with, and they clock a lot of hours on it. And that's, I don't know if that's like a platform because it's kind of 2D or whatever it is.
I have never heard of that.
I was gonna say I haven't heard of this one either. So you're educating us on a game now.
It's like a dungeon game. There's a board game of it called Four Souls, which I've played a lot of because I love board games. But Binding of Isaac's like a little platform game, and you go through dungeons because the mum tries to murder the child, and then he goes down, and you can equip like different equipment, and it gives you different things. But is that like a thing where even though it's similar, like it's a simple platform, you have to run around and kill bosses? Is that one of those things where it is interesting to play again because you get different combinations of weapons and like the map might change very slightly, even though it's more or less the same?
Well, a lot of games like that, especially like indie games that say like the graphical content of that is not as extreme as a new game. So they don't have to spend a lot of time developing that. So it gives you time to what a lot of games like this will have multiple endings. And depending on how you play the game will give you a different ending. Like a game that I was going to talk about, like
you have to fight Satan at the end.
Yeah,
that's the way it always ends.
The same. Okay, because I'm going to talk about a game called Cuphead, which is like all the animation is done in like early 30s, like actual real animation. Everything's hand drawn. But you can play the game and get 3 different endings. Like you can get the pacifist ending where you don't kill anyone through the whole game. It's super hard to do. And you can get your regular ending where some of the characters still don't like you because like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have killed that guy. Or there's a genocide ending where even throughout the game, even the bosses are like, really? You're really doing this? Like, it's like, like, why are you trying to finish the game this way? Like, the game's like constantly shaming you the whole time for like trying to, because you have to go out of your way to get the genocide ending. And they're like, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing this?
This whole era of art terrifies me. Like, this is the scariest era of art because the stuff they came up with, it was like early, like it was a Felix the Cat or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Like, all that early shit. Like I watched some of those like classic cartoons when I was a kid, and they fucking
early Mickey Mouse
me
is
for ages.
cursed.
Yeah, early Mickey Mouse, all that sort of stuff. But no, it's interesting because like, yeah, like as Grant was saying, like the indies that are focusing on not so much these like groundbreaking, hyper realistic graphics are creating some of the most exciting games going around at the moment. If you look
Goose
at like
Game. That one popped
off. Yeah. Goose Game, Cult of the Lamb, Hades, Among Us. There's a whole bunch of ones that have just like that have graphics that 20 years old. Like Hades. I got so addicted to Hades, but it just looks like it was
An
made on
80s
like,
game.
yeah, it looks like it was made for the Sega Mega Drive. Like it looks like it was made for the 90s or the 80s. But it's like, yeah, because the gameplay is just so much fun. It's easy to understand. You get that. Like I know that Margy, when you were talking about, that psychological study for fucking Elden Ring, and like, you kind of get that a little bit more,
Yeah.
a little bit more progression. Like it's interesting watching it in Hades, because like I remember playing Hades the first time and I died like real fast, like, a couple of levels in, and I was just like, oh, this sucks. Like I've already died. But then like you actually, like, it's the whole idea is trying to escape from Hades. So you kind of go up through like the levels of the Greek hell. So you go back to Hades, you see your fucking dad in the underground, and he's like, oh, you suck. Guess you have to try
I know
again.
this game.
And so
this game. I've seen someone
it's
play it.
It's
Oh
little
my God.
amazing.
Nicky.
Yeah. But it's amazing because that part of it is dying, and like you get that little bit further and then you die again. You get that little bit further, you die again. And it's like they've made that into and I haven't seen a game done it ever in this particular
Yeah,
way. I'm
instead of
sure
a
they probably
load screen, it's
exist.
like actually built into the game that you just go back to the start.
Yeah.
Do you think, so this is just an idea, like, do you think because there is so much similarity in games, like inherent in like just like the mechanics of gameplay and stuff, that like when a new game comes out, you're obsessed with it for like a month and then you're kind of like, meh. And wherein, do you think that you guys would have been more obsessed with games back in the day, like earlier, where you would have been maybe obsessed with it for like longer than a month? Or does the obsession only ever last for like
See,
a
I
short
actually know
period?
what the issue with this is. So back in the day, games were a lot more expensive, and if you got a game, you wanted it to last a long time because you couldn't actually just go get another game. But these days, it's so easy to get games, and they're like, you can get an indie game for $2, or you can get a game on sale from Steam for $5. That I think you're just so spoilt for choice that it's harder to keep the attention. Whereas back in the day, it's like, this is my game. This is the game that I'm going to have for
Or
the
is it
next few
ADHD?
months. That too. But like back, I feel like when you were younger, you didn't have the choice to just go get another game. Like, this is the game you have, and you got to play it, and you better fucking
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. But like I think like you look back at games like that now, like I was playing, what was I playing the other day? Oh, when I went back and played the original Doom the other day and realized like you can finish Doom, like the first chapter of Doom, in about 15 minutes. Like each of the levels actually only go for about a minute. But when I was a kid, it felt like they were much longer. But you put that against like the remake of Doom, each of those levels goes for like fucking 15 to 20 minutes in itself, because they're fucking wild and they're fucking confusing and stuff. So I think they've had to make them bigger to try and keep people playing, because there isn't, like, going back and playing games like Doom and Wolfenstein now, there isn't that longevity in the game. It was just repetition. It's just kind of like, let's play it again. Let's play it again. Like, yeah, like Grant makes a very valid point that I'd never actually thought about, but he's right, because each fucking cartridge costs like $50 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Which was, a lot
Games
of money
used to
back
be
then.
very spenno, but I guess now it's now that's a very good point. Yeah. Because like I see a lot of games through my bandmates who, like, that game that came out called like Red something.
Red
I don't
Dead
know.
Redemption.
No, not Red Dead Redemption. It was like just I think they called it a sandbox, except it was more just like going
Rust?
around and fighting stuff. There was 2 R's. It was something I can't fucking remember. I mean, I should have been more prepared. It only just occurred to me that no, because they were obsessed with it for like a month, and then I've never heard about it again. And I was like, but like all that they talked about for like a month was like, oh yeah, and then you get this weapon, and then I got this, and I paired it with this thing, and it was sick. And then like a month later, they'd forgotten about it entirely, and I was like, oh.
I think that's it. It's like, because it's, I mean, we live, and there's, this works for film as well as for music as well as everything. It's like, because there is so much out there, we are so spoiled for choice. We can just move on to the next thing as quick as we want. Like I was
No,
thinking
I will
about,
hold
like,
on to the music that I've listened to for a long time, and I will never let it go.
Yeah,
Familiarity.
I didn't really write much about like mobile phone gaming shit, but like that is literally made to be like short, sharp 5-minute things. Like it's
What's
it's
that
not
thing that
meant to
everyone
be.
played in lockdown? Farmville or something? The one with the raccoon
Yeah.
who extorts people.
Yeah, Farmville. That was on the
raccoon.
Nintendo
No, that's
Switch.
Animal Crossing.
Oh,
Animal
that's the one.
Crossing, that's the one.
Same
Animal
thing.
Crossing.
I don't
Farmville.
know. Like, do you remember like how Switches were sold out across the country and everyone was just obsessed with Animal Crossing? Do people still play Animal Crossing?
My partner, she hated it. She got it. She heard all the hype and she's like, "This is fucking boring. I'm gonna go play some Stardew Valley instead."
Is that not the same thing?
It's like the same game but like isometric, so it's got a bit more charm. But also earlier when I was talking about Cuphead, is actually Undertale was the game with the genocide ending. But if we are talking about like games that are like what's new, what can you do that's new? I would like it's not new
Risk of Rain.
anymore.
Called Risk of Rain. It just came to me. Oh,
yeah, I've never heard of that. Risk of Rain.
Yeah, it was an obsession of theirs for like a month. Sorry, back to what you were saying.
So there's this game. It's not new now. It came out in 2005, but it really like it pushed the boundaries. It's called Katamari Damacy. So it's this game.
I know that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this game where you play the son of like I think it's like the king of the galaxy, and all you do is you suck things into your being, and you just become a giant snowball across the galaxy, and eventually you get big enough to take in planets and all that. And it's just like there's almost nothing there, but it's just like something about it that just like fulfills this like need in you. You just feel good after playing the game. And it's like something like that. It's just like the art style was like really like different to anything else that came out at the time. But it's just weird how like just something like that is just so left of field. You know, all these games that are just about violence, and you just got Katamari Damacy, fucking Snowball Simulator. Stray as well.
Stray's brilliant idea. Whoever came up with that, like I don't know
Has
why
anyone
anyone
played
didn't come
it?
up with that.
Have either of you played it?
No,
I've watched some Twitch streamers do it, but I haven't played it myself.
My mate obviously got a skin so that his cat that he was playing as looked exactly like his cat.
Capitalism.
And I just really enjoyed all the videos on like TikTok of the cats watching their humans play the cat on the screen. And honestly, I would play a video game if for nothing else than that, like just to entertain my cat.
Yeah, but I think that's like they're and like another indie developer just kind of doing their thing, and I think like that's what's going to keep the originality going is people that just are in it for the passion rather than the money. Like, I mean, obviously I've talked to heaps in pretty much every single episode of this about that game Satisfactory that I'm still addicted to.
Fuck yeah.
But like Coffee Stain Studios have their own YouTube channel, which they'll come on and like have like community updates and like what's going on in the thing. And they're staying like real close to their fandom and then kind of creating their own sort of inner circles of like people that'll follow them. And I think that'll kind of play a big part, in the gaming industry moving forward with the indies, as well as like people will follow specific studios because they create these communities, which I think is a big part of it.
Yeah. So, well, I guess there's also different ways of gaming. Like World of Warcraft has been out for, I just think it's just an omnipotent being that is just there. Like
the soul-sucking it is about 20 years.
I would say it was 2001.
So many people still play WoW.
Yeah, either 1 or 3.
And
no, it's 2004. Wow. It's much later than I
thought. Wow. I mean, I don't think I could ever play WoW just because of that South Park episode. But the Sword of 1,000 Truths.
Yeah, no, it's not
one of the best South Park episodes ever.
Ma'am, toilet, ma'am.
So good.
I guess it's actually speaking of South Park, it's another kind of games we didn't even touch. Is like Guitar Hero and stuff like that. Let's like rhythm games.
True.
Like there was Drum Hero as well.
Yeah, DJ Hero.
SingStar, that was a thing. I feel like that trend kind of died out. Yeah, like the only one that's left behind is just the dance games because everyone loves dancing.
Yeah, Dance Revolution. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I found out that my old bandmate from like my old band was like came second in Europe for Dance Revolution. Amazing. And I never knew that about him, and I've known him for a very long time, and I just think that's
it's an interesting skill to have.
Yeah, so I think there's different ways that people consume games. Like your casual gamer, your binge gamer, your like to work away at things gamer, someone who likes playing online with other people, like, playing with mates. Is this correct? Like, have I?
Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah,
it's like, and like, because it's a lot
different
easier
consumption.
Yeah, because it's easy to develop games these days. Like, I guess, like, you could relate that to the music industry as well. It's like, there's more music out there because it's easier to produce an album now than it ever has been before. You can fucking make a whole
Doesn't
album
make
in
it
your bedroom
easier to
now.
write an album. Shut up. Stop pressuring me, Mum.
No, it makes it easier to produce an album, not write an album. Writing is still very, very difficult. But like, yeah, you can. Like,
Writing's easy. Writing something good's hard.
Writing's fun. Recording
Yeah.
sucks.
But yeah, I think that's the kind of the link between the two is like people can make video games in, you know, with their everyday PCs now. Like, you don't need fucking top of the line things.
Wait,
just like you
really?
don't need. No, you can make them on anything. Like, it's quite literally, it's yeah, really, really straight. I mean, obviously it's not. I'd be underselling making a game by saying it's really easy, but it's easier than it used to be.
I guess I need to learn how to code, and I refuse to do that.
Yeah, that's part of the challenge. We should definitely have on like a UX UI designer one day. I reckon that'd be heaps of fun.
Well, because what
Pick
you
their
can do
brain
now
about
is you can just like get proprietary game engines. It's like
Mm.
because back in the day, you used to have to build the engine and then put your game into that engine to have all your mechanics.
That's probably why
work,
they
whereas-
cost so much.
Yeah, whereas now you can just use like free source engines to like just throw all your shit at, and it already has like the physics of the game built into the engine, which is like all the super hard stuff about making a game.
Yeah, if you ever want to watch some sick videos and like on that kind of stuff, just look up like the Unreal 5 engine on YouTube and like the amount of people that do demo work in Unreal 5 and they show you how they build worlds and whatnot. And it's fucking amazing, the intuitiveness of these engines these days.
Even Carl from Gravevine, he's just been fiddling around with Unreal Engine just for like music video stuff, just because he feels like it. I'm like, what are you doing that for? Why are you torturing yourself like that? What's wrong with you?
See, maybe he's bored. Maybe he's bored with all the video games. He thinks they've all been done, so he's got to make a music video out of it.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I think to round out the question at the start is like, yeah, is like originally still there. Was that line from fucking Basketball? You know, it's still, it lives on in the hearts of the young. You know, yeah, it's still definitely there in like the indie ones. Like the majors are just gonna kind of keep doing what they do. They're gonna like, there's gonna be another EA fucking sports game next
Loot
year,
box
and the after
machine.
that, and
Basketball, EA Sports.
Yeah. You know, and they'll find that formula and they'll just keep on churning it out. But there is some really, really sick stuff happening in the indie world. Yeah, I think the game we kind of glazed over quickly is a game called Cult of the Lamb, which is actually made by a Melbourne like design house production studio. And yeah, we definitely want to. Well, I want to have one of the developers of Cult of the Lamb on to talk more about that, because I think that'd be a really, really sick time.
Yeah, there are a lot of different kinds of games, I guess, but I mean, I just see it as like a non-gamer of sometimes like I'd find a few things derivative, but I guess that's personal taste. Like, just because I might not like first-person shooter games doesn't mean that someone else would find the niches and differences between them. It's
I guess it's the
like,
same as people who don't like punk music saying, but it's the same as everyone saying like all punk songs sounds the same. I was like, well, I mean, technically you're not wrong, but at the same time,
all rock music sounds the same, but it absolutely like what even is rock?
All
you
books
know what
are
I mean?
words on paper.
Books are words on paper, but
Margy, your band sounds exactly like Rancid, and Grant, you sound exactly like Sepultura. Like that's exactly it.
Ouch.
Jeez.
It feels bad.
There you go.
I don't like you anymore.
Burnt you both. Hey,
well,
Sepultura and Rancid are both sick bands. What are you talking about?
Well, now it's my turn to burn Josh in the final segment. I
heard the streak in his beard's fake. It's just.
Yeah,
I heard the red in his beard's fake, and he's actually got a white beard.
Poser.
I do, 100%. Yeah, I got burnt in the notes for this, Margy, and it made me giggle quite a bit, though.
Do you want to introduce it?
No, it's your. You've got the burn, so you may as well go ahead with it.
Alrighty. So in our final segment, we like to ask a question, and this week's question, it's a fun dumb one. We like fun dumb questions. We're playing Cast Yourself. Cast Yourself is a game. I just invented it. See, I'm a games developer. So in this round of Cast Yourself, which character in Lord of the Rings would you be and why? And for listeners at home, I encourage you to assign what characters you think we are and also what you think you are, because it's fun. Everyone wants to be a character in Lord of the Rings, I think.
Yeah, but
I'll kick it off.
Margy's added the addendum though. You've got to have the addendum in there as well. It says, if your assignment sucks, the co-host will reassign. And then in brackets, Josh, this means if you don't assign yourself as Gimli, we're doing it for you. So yeah, Grant, kick it off and let us know.
Well, I was gonna go with cute Hobbit child number 1, which is one of the credits in the movie, but I've decided I'm actually gonna go with Everard Proudfoot, who is the town pessimist that just squints at people while he's brushing his front lawn.
I can't believe you'd assign yourself as a Proudfoot. Ugh. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
What about you, Josh? Are you going to go Gimli? Are you going to give in to social pressure? Are you going to tell us how you really feel?
No. Well, I have to clarify. Are we going book or film?
I always immediately think book, but I will allow film as well.
All right. Well, if it was film, my runner-up was going to be Ugluck, just because I really want to say looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. I think as a vegan, it makes a lot of sense for me to say that. But no, in the film, I think I'd be Peregrine Took, because I'm just that adorable troublemaker who likes to cause a fuss.
You stole my answer. Fuck you.
Well, I'm going to change it though, because in the book,
you have to be Gimli.
No, in the book, I'm 100% Tom Bombadil. Stay the fuck away from everybody. I'm going to live in the middle of the fucking forest. I'm going to have magical powers that I could probably destroy the ring by myself, but I'm not going to tell anyone about it. I'm just going to be like,
when did you get magic powers? Are you super rich or something?
No, I'm gonna like live in the forest and develop magical powers, much like Tom Bombadil.
Oh, you will develop. No, but Tom Bombadil's always been magical because he's been around since like the start of time.
That was the joke. That was the joke. I'm going to turn into... I just want to be a hermit. That's all I want to be. And Tom Bombadil, I think, is the ultimate hermit, because he just doesn't give a fuck about anything else that's going on. He just
think
wants
you'd
to
be a good dwarf
skip
hermit.
along and just... No, they're too social for me. They're like, even if they're like mining away, they're mining with other dwarves. Like, I just want to be as far away from people as possible.
You could be forging. You like to make knives. You could be forging axes.
There'd be other forges around.
So I feel like you're putting up a front because you choose to live in a share house.
Yeah, exactly. You could live on your own, but you choose to live with someone else. So there you go, Josh.
I chose the only person I know who's more of a hermit than me. It was like literally, I listed when I like went from living alone to living in this house.
Do the dwarves not like to keep to themselves though? Do the dwarves not?
No, but they keep to themselves.
Enjoy
together.
their mountain solace.
They love the community of dwarves. They don't like other races. They're very racist.
So are you not just now telling us that you found the only person that you only found your only other dwarf is what you were just saying to us?
I found the only other Tom Bombadil.
Yeah. Does she have a beard? Lady dwarves are prone to beards.
She 100% wishes she had a beard.
I don't think anyone could cast themselves as Tom Bombadil except for Matt Berry.
I do love Matt Berry.
Being great. Matt Berry being great. Nah, I reckon Tom Bombadil would even look like me. I reckon he'd have like a big red and white beard. I reckon he'd be shaggy around the edges. Yeah, I mean, this is about the length of Tom Bombadil's beard right here.
This is upsetting me. Next time I read the books, I'm going to be reading and be like, "Fucking hell, Josh!" Because I'll
fucking Josh Bombadil.
You're going to hear him singing in my voice and everything like that. Well, he just comes to save the day and then just fucks off again.
Grant, I see you as more of an elf.
Yeah, I didn't want to go for the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, no, I see you as one. Like,
I was gonna go. Who's
mastering like the loot or whatever the fuck they had, just sitting around in the corner with your long legs and your beautiful long hair.
I reckon you'd make a great Glorfindel. I reckon you could. I
don't even know what that is.
Elf, good.
Yeah, good elf. Like very, very much overshadowed by Galadriel.
So I'm from the fucking Mirkwood, am I?
Yeah, you're not the lead singer of your band, so you know. Do you really see yourself as a Rivendell elf? Maybe.
Nah.
Yeah, no one wants to be a Rivendell
I see myself as an old man sweeping my porch, staring at kids, hoping they don't go on it.
Right, sure.
All right, Margy, what about you, though?
Well, as a short person, well, not that short, but short enough, and someone who finds themselves in situations like, how did I get here? But it's all my fault. I was going to go Pippin because I am very much like the master of my own undoing. And I'm always just like, oh shit, I've got to, oh God. But in reality, I'm much more likely to be Smog because I sleep a lot because I'm depressed and I like shiny things. I have a lot of shiny things, so I'm more likely smoke than I am anything else. As much of a troublemaker as I am, I'm a sleepy troublemaker.
So you're like halfway between smog and a troublemaker. Is that a magpie?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm
Are there magpies in Lord of the Rings?
I don't know.
I'm an ant.
I'm gonna recast you, Margy.
I'll take it. That magpie in the tree when Gandalf went past.
Nah, I'm gonna cast you as Eowyn because I reckon you've got this badass streak underneath you. I reckon you'd be good with a sword. I reckon you'd probably stab a bitch. I reckon.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
I
reckon
a wraith.
Yeah, I reckon
I do always go for guys who have zero interest in me. I am cripplingly single.
I was going for the badass thing. I wasn't going to mention the love life and anything. But
I just always go for the King of Gondor. And I don't know why.
Why do I keep going for kings who are in love with immortal beings?
Yeah. But also violence. I reckon there's a violent streak inside of you, I believe.
I'm not going to deny that. And you know that I like to say on a regular basis, I am no man.
Yeah.
Because I'm like scratching my tit and I'm like, yeah, I'm no man. What of it? So we've done some recasting. You don't have to be Gimli, Josh. I still see you as an elf.
Fair.
I mean,
like, not elf.
Who's the one with the trumpet he puts in his ear? He's got a big red beard.
Oh yeah, what's from The Hobbit? What's his name? Look, it could be Philly Trilly.
Dwarf number 9.
Dwarf number 9. This is Mambo number 5, and then next up we have Dwarf number 9. A little bit of hammering by my side.
But dear listeners, you've got to tell us every Friday on the Northside Nerds Instagram. We post putting out the question and cast yourself as an amazing game, which Margy, we have to do again. I'm very stoked on this game. Which character in Lord of the Rings would you be and why? There's also a whole slew of questions. You can go back through all the other ones and let us know all the questions. You know, who would win in a fight? Han Solo versus Indiana Jones. Would you rather be a centaur or a mermaid? That one was a lot of fucking fun. That was there's some great Photoshop in that too. I was so proud of that Photoshop job.
I'm excited to see your Photoshop because I need to see Grant as an elf.
I got that covered. It's pretty much when Grant takes out his hair, he just
when Grant takes his hair down,
the Mirkwood anyway. So I think we'll be
Can
fine.
we just put a picture of Grant playing guitar with long hair into the Mirkwood?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, follow the links in the show notes, and that'll send you to we've got a Discord community that Grant's nailing. The links to our Twitch streams as well, with all the details about when we'll be streaming and whatnot are all on there. So yeah, make sure you click the link in the description, the link tree,
and share with anyone you might think might be into us. Even
100%.
if they're not into us, give us a hate listen.
That's it.
Definitely.
I run on spite, you know that.
And
God
also,
knows the world needs more of it.
Especially if you're against Josh's casting, if you do join the Discord channel, you can directly bully him. I'm a moderator. I'm not going to kick you out.
Yeah.
Damn it! I need to join the Discord so I can bully him. I mean, what?
Come bully me in the Discord. Absolutely, bring it on.
I'm actually going to put it in the rules that bullying Josh is okay. Only Josh, no one else.
Start
especially
a whole channel.
No innocent.
Yeah, we'll just make no. It's not okay unless it's in the bullying Josh channel.
Yes, yeah.
We'll keep it polite.
Specific corner.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, until then, dear listeners, keep being nerdy.
Keep being nerdy. Keep being wonderfully, wonderfully weird and wonderfully nerdy. We love it. And I'll keep reading The Wheel of Time.